Can you hear me over this air?
I was hanging with you and then I realized I didn't think it was true. I was surprised when I found out I'd fallen for you.
Hi, my name is Kiara and this is the first YouTube video that I'm ever making. I've been wanting to make this YouTube video for about a year and a half, but I haven't gotten the courage to turn on a camera and start recording this because it would leave me vulnerable to a lot of memories that I think that I try to keep hidden. This is me telling my story. I was 17 when I started dating this guy. It was my first boyfriend. He was the one that came and met my parents. He asked my parents permission to date me. I guess to tell that story, I have to tell a different story. I think I was 13 or 14 years old when I started having issues with my low self-esteem, and later those issues took me to a dark place of eating disorders. But I was 12 or 13 years old when I started having a low self-esteem issues. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror, my hair, the way my eyebrows looked, the way my nose looked, the way my face was shaped, just a lot of things that I did not like about myself, and every little thing that I would see I disliked, and it was a big problem for me since I was really young. I fell in love fast, and that's who I am. I fall in love fast. I fall in love hard. I wear my heart on my sleeve with any person that I meet, whether it be friends, whether it be family, whether it be in a relationship. I fall fast and I fall hard, and that's one of the good and bad things about me, because I love so much, but it does sometimes come and bite me in the butt later. So the first 6 months of that relationship was absolutely incredible in my head, from what I knew on my end, and he treated me right. The first 6 months of our relationship, he was a gentleman. I was in love with him, and then 6 months into our relationship, his true colors started to show, and he became a very controlling person. And he did not like me hanging out with my family. When we would be at family reunions, he would make me be apart from my family during like birthday parties and Christmases and Thanksgiving, and he just, whenever my family would be doing something, my cousins would be doing something, I would be somewhere else, under a tree, far away from them with him, because he just didn't like me being with them, and he liked to keep me to himself. And I am very, very close with my family. I'm very close with my cousins. They're definitely more like siblings than they are cousins to me, because we're just so close. So that was really hard for me, but I really, really, really did love him, and I believed that that was what love was, that he wanted to be with me all the time, that he wanted me to himself. And then I didn't realize like where that relationship was going. He would make me text him every few minutes, no matter what I was doing, no matter who I was with. And if my phone died and I didn't text him back, he was very unhappy, and he would get very angry. And one day, that controlling and that anger that he held turned into physical abuse. From what the emotional controlling abuse that he was doing, it turned into physical abuse. I don't remember how long we were dating when he first hit me. I remember that we were supposed to go to a church service with my family, and my grandma hadn't gone because she was sick, and I had just had lunch with him, and I told him, I was like, let's go to this service, and then he was like, I don't want to, like, I just want to go to your grandma's house, and I want to just hang out there, just us two. And I was like, well, I really want to go to that service, and he says, no, we're not going to the service, we're going to go to your grandma's house, and that's where we're going to hang out, just us two. And I got upset, and I was like, no, we're going to this service. And he got very upset, and he started driving extremely fast, and it scared me. I was frightened because I was afraid that we were going to crash into someone, that we were going to hurt ourselves, like that we were going to hurt somebody else, and I was really, really scared. And then he stopped the car, and I remember we were parked next to a park, and there was nobody around. It was starting to get dark outside, and he was upset. He was angry because he wanted to do what he wanted to do. He didn't want to be around people, so I argued with him and said I did want to go to that service, and he didn't want to, so he was mad and he was angry. And so he turns and he hits me. And that's the first time he ever hit me. And I was shocked because that's not something that I know from my family. I've never seen anybody in my family hit their spouse or their girlfriend or boyfriend or their significant other. My dad has never hit my mom, has never laid a hand on her. They argue like any other couple does, but he never ever touched my mom in that way, and either had anybody else that I had seen from my family or close friends or friends of families, nothing like that. So I was shocked, I was hurt, and for a split second I thought to myself, like I can't be in this relationship, like this isn't what love is. And then he started crying, and he started apologizing, and he started saying, well, I just got so angry, and you made me so angry, and I just snapped, and I didn't mean to, and that was the first time he hit me. And he cried and told me he loved me, and so I forgave him. Another way that he abused me emotionally was that he, at various points in our relationship, would tell me that if I left him, nobody would love me, that I was not good enough, I was not beautiful enough, and I was never going to be enough for somebody else to love me. He said that if I ever left him, I would not be enough. And that destroyed me because I already believed that about myself. I already believed that I wasn't enough, that I wasn't beautiful, and he knew that. And so he used that to hurt me. He used that to keep me in that relationship. I really believed that I would never be able to find love again if I left him, so I stayed. I was also afraid to leave him. He threatened to hurt my family if I left him. He threatened to kill himself if I left. That's just something I didn't want in my conscience, the death of somebody else, because I left, and so I stayed. He was very good at hiding it. He was good at hiding where he hit me, and he was good at just being a different person when he was around other people. I remember one time he snapped. I had cousins who came to visit from out of state, and they were leaving the next day. We had just had a service. I remember it was a Sunday night. We had just had a service at church, and we were leaving, and it was starting to get later, but my cousins were leaving the next day, and they said, hey, we're going back home, let's go bowling. Like, all the cousins, let's go bowling, let's just have a fun night before we leave and we don't see each other again, because I see my cousins maybe like once a year, once every 2 years. So we were like, let's just have some fun, let's hang out. let's go bowling. And so he was gonna drop me off home, and before we had made plans to sit home after and just hang out for a few minutes before he had to leave because it was getting late. And I told him, hey, my cousins are going bowling. Let's, I want to go bowling. We should go bowling if you want to. If not, then I'm just gonna go. You can go back to your apartment. And he did not like that. He was unhappy that I wanted to go hang out with my cousins instead of stay at my house to hang out with him. And he was yelling at me. He was threatening me, and he was just not happy. And then he was like, fine, then you can go and I'm just gonna go back to my place. And I said, that's fine, I'm gonna hang out with my cousins though. He eventually decided that he was gonna go with us, probably because he didn't want me to go alone. He wanted to be there to control the situation that I was in, whether it be keeping me from talking to my cousins, whether it be like making sure that no guys talked to me. I didn't see anybody that I knew or talk to anybody that I knew. It was his way of controlling a situation. So he went, and when we got there, he was unhappy, and he was pouting, and he was not saying hi to any of my family, and I was not taking it. So I told him, you can leave. If you're going to be so upset, you can just leave. He got up and he angrily said something to me, and he ran out and said something like, well, like, we're done. And the thought in my head was what he had kept drilling into my head. What I had already had in my head was that, oh my God, he's gonna leave you, nobody's gonna love you, you're gonna end up alone forever. So I ran after him, and I remember my mom running after me because my mom had gone also bowling with us, and she ran after me, and he got in his car and he left and he drove off. And I was crying, I was hysterical, and my mom was like, if he wants to leave, let him leave. Like, you don't have to be with someone like him. Like, my mom could tell in what kind of controlling relationship I was in. And so she's like, if he wants to leave, that's fine, let him leave. And I freaked out, and I remember telling my mom, like, I'm gonna marry this guy. And I can't remember what she told me, but I remember her calling him and talking to him to come back. He comes back, and he angrily gets out of the car and just barges into the bowling alley. Doesn't say hi to me, doesn't come talk to me, doesn't talk to my mom. He just barges in. And I remember we go inside after him, and I remember sitting next to where my cousins are. My cousins are kind of confused about what's happening. They're worried, And then my mom says, I need to talk to you. And she tells him I need to talk to him. And he's like, for what? And she's like, I need to talk to you. And so he gets up, and I remember this is the first time he ever, messed up and showed his true colors of the kind of person that he really was in front of other people, because he grabbed his keys and he threw them right at my face. And I remember it hitting my face, and my cousins kind of gasped, and the oldest one of my cousins from Chicago kind of was like, are you okay? And I remember just being upset and just ruining what was supposed to be a perfectly fun night. After my mom talked to him, he comes back and he's in a better mood, and I never found out what my mom told him, but he was in a better mood, and he was happier, and he was talking to people, and I don't know. And so I thought it was all good, but that relationship was like that for a long time, both mentally and physically abusive. And then one day I had enough. I remember we went to Texas I think it was just for fun. I believe we were in Texas for family, just to visit my dad's side of the family. I remember not having a good time because I had to keep texting him every 5 minutes to tell him what I was doing, and so that he could keep tabs on me. I remember that when my phone would be on silent because I was helping clean or I was helping do something, he would make find my phone alarm go off so that it would get my attention. And then when we came back from Texas, I remember helping my mom clean the house, and it was a really busy day. We were doing some spring cleaning, and I just hadn't touched my phone in a while because I was helping my mom. I was cleaning, I was sweeping, I was dusting, and I remember the phone going off like 15 to 20 times from the Find My iPhone alarm, because I wouldn't answer his text messages because I was busy. And he did know I was busy. He knew that I was helping my mom clean, and he just kept making my alarm go off and go off and go off. And so my mom was like, I can't decide things for you. You have to decide and learn things for yourself. It was then that something snapped in me and something clicked, and I remember thinking, like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't put myself through this anymore. Like, I deserve better. Even if I'm alone, I deserve better. Like, being alone would be better than being in this kind of a relationship. And so I texted him because I didn't think he was worthy enough for a face-to-face breakup. And I texted him and I said, I can't do this anymore. And I don't want to do this anymore. And it's over. And it's done. And I sent the message and I put my phone down, and I remember crying. And I remember that at that second I felt this enormous, like, physically I could feel this enormous weight lift off of my shoulders. And it was one of the most weightlifting, peaceful moments of my life, but it was also one of the scariest moments at the same time because I was afraid of what he was going to do. He wanted to meet up that same day to return my stuff, and that I could return his stuff. And I remember he had given me a promise ring, and I had given him a promise ring before. I remember that he wanted to meet up alone, but I was too scared to meet up alone because of what he might do to me. So I said, if we're going to meet up at my house where my mom is, where there's people, so that I know that I'm safe. And so he came and he threw his promise ring at me, and he was angry, and I remember there's just anger inside of him. It's one of the hardest things that I went through in my life, but I really, really believe that it's what has made me such a strong person and has made me the person that I am today. After that, I suffered with panic attacks that I had never suffered with before. I suffered with anxiety. I had to go to a therapist, which, if you need a therapist, I suggest, I encourage you to go see a therapist. But going through that did make me come out stronger. It made me realize how worthy I am. It made me realize my worth, my strength, and that I was worth everything that they say that love is. And even though I'm still learning that, I definitely was scared at first that I was never gonna find love. I remember telling my grandma when she was sick, I remember telling her, I don't think I'm ever gonna find love. And I remember her telling me that I was crazy and that I was gonna find someone who loved me. And thanks to God, I have found someone who has shown me more love than I could imagine. He definitely reflects God's love towards me and continues to show me what God's love is by the way he acts. I definitely believe that God sent him at the right time. I really, really believe that he created this man for me, and I'm so happy now, and I'm so much stronger now. What I went through was for me to come out stronger, and although I would get angry and ask God, like, why did you make me go through this? I know now that allowed me to go through something that hard so that I can come out on the other end. To encourage girls to know their worth, to know their beauty, to encourage guys to know their worth and their beauty, and to encourage people who are in those relationships that there is a way out. You are strong enough to get out. You are strong enough to be alone, even if it's for a little while. That you are worthy enough to be shown true love. And that don't ever let anybody tell you that you are not enough, you are not beautiful. And just remember that it gets better. And that you're strong enough to walk away and say that you don't need this anymore. And give yourself happiness. Hopes with this video and maybe this channel is to encourage young women, young men, older men, to find happiness, love, to encourage them to be stronger, to find their inner strength. And I just want to say God bless you. And I'm always a message away if anyone ever needs to talk to somebody.